I've went from on November 13th.
Yeah, this is all I have, Jason, is November 13th. That was in the packet.
Wasn't that the last planning commission meeting?
There was one after that, because this was the Fox Subaru, and we had one after that.
We had one in December.
I don't think so.
Is that right? So this was our last meeting?
I think
Yeah, I
so.
don't recall.
Okay.
I think we had one in December.
Yeah, 'cause we weren't gonna have one at the second meeting in December, and we canceled the first one.
There's only one in December and one in November.
Okay.
Yeah, and we canceled the first one. Yep.
So it was during this meeting that Leanne said that she was not gonna re-up?
Oh, Leanne told me that, I told Lynn that probably 6 months ago.
Okay, because I just found out about that.
Looks like we have some good candidates.
Oh,
Yeah, the question though.
did you see him?
I saw 4 of the names. I got those if you want.
No, I don't even.
But I don't mind. Everybody should know who they are, because you might have an opinion.
I always got an opinion, but sometimes I'm not entitled.
Well,
This is the ominous piece of paper.
you're gonna give it to me, so.
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait,
I'll
it
take
sounds
your
like it'll work.
resignation.
I'll pick. Is that before or after?
Oh, that's right, we do that now.
Yeah, we're gonna do that tonight.
What office you gonna run for, Steve?
What's that?
What office you gonna run for?
Vice Sheriff?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to do anything?
We got a vice chair. Steve will do vice chair.
Oh, will you? Okay, actually, I texted Jim, but if you want to do that, that's
Well, if he
great.
wants it, that's fine.
No, I just texted him and asked him if he wanted to do it. He said sure. So,
You just feel bad at not appointing a guy to something he's not even here to defend himself.
Yeah, yeah, I've had that happen. Did your new guy quit already or what?
No, he's serving on the Marquette County Planning Commission, and he's attending their meeting.
Really?
Good for him. Does he get health insurance for life on that one?
I don't think so.
Huh? Is that just the county board?
174 Gs for life? No.
I think the county board still does it.
Do they really? Wow.
Yeah, you serve on it for one term, I think you got your health insurance.
Wow. I volunteered for the wrong thing.
I know.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, you gotta look out for yourself once in a while there, buddy.
yeah, looks like we're pretty ready here. So, good evening. Welcome to Marquette Charter Township's regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, January 8th. It is 7 p.m. Let's start with roll call. Steve?
Steve Hageman at Lake Enchantment Trail.
Dave Wiegand, Brookton Road.
Mike Springer, Eagles Nest Road.
Jason,
I'm sorry.
Jason McCarthy, planner and zoning administrator.
We're missing 2 planning commissioners tonight. One, we have a vacancy to be filled for Leanne Kazmarski. We also, Jim Johnson is unable to attend because he's working tonight. So our first duty is to elect officers for this year. So we'll start with the chair. Is there anybody want to be the chair?
No, but I would nominate Mr. Springer to remain the chairman.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, next position is vice chair. And you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'd nominate Steve to be the vice chair.
Okay. All right. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Now for the secretary, I'm going to nominate Dave Wiegand to be secretary. Got a second down there?
So I second that.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
2 against 1, motion carries. Okay, we
It's
have
gonna be in
that.
the minutes.
That's good. It's always good to note dissension in the ranks.
Okay. So we have an agenda before you. If there's anything you want to add, delete, or modify, otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Carries. Okay, minutes from the previous meeting, a long time ago, November 13th, 2019.
And I would move to approve those minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Public comment. Unless you're here to speak on one particular item on the agenda, you're more than welcome to come forth and tell us what's on your mind.
Has Dave got his mic on?
Yes, he does, as a matter of fact.
Yes, he was talking.
I am.
Okay, seeing no public comment, we'll move on to new business. 7A, we have a site plan review. This proposed construction of a 8,704 square foot discount tire retail store to be located on a property within the general business area. It's at 3066 US 41 West.
Should be 3166, by the way.
3166?
Typo on my part, yep.
Okay. And that's the old Cenex location, is that correct?
Former Senate station.
Former.
Yeah. So thanks. We also have Ryan McKenhill here from ENG, which is the engineering firm that produced the drawings. Just go through the site plan with you for your information, at least of what staff saw and reviewed. But essentially, this is roughly a 4-acre parcel, and what's being proposed, although the land division hasn't been done yet, but that tentative boundary adjustment is proposed in the plan. So 1.54 acres would be utilized by them. This is right along US 41, of course, at the corner of Wright Street and US 41. General business zoning all the way through. There were a number of positive things, and I guess I'll start with that with this project. First of all, when the Northcrest Group took ownership of the property and worked out access, the township was able to negotiate with the property owners the consolidation of these two driveways into one driveway, as you've seen on the plan, as well as the two driveways that are on along Wright Street. There's conflict points there when you have two driveways and people are turning in, coming eastbound or heading westbound. Out in this direction, you can see where that would be kind of confusing. And I know that myself, visiting Napa, restoring old vehicles and stuff, that I would utilize that spot quite a bit and notice that right away. And then these driveways have been here since, I'm sure, the 90s, and they're excessively large, and the spacing per our access management requirements were too narrow to allow to continue. So we're very thankful for that. That was a planning win in our view. So you can see here the proposed location of a shared access and the consolidation of those two driveways into this shared access here. Although it doesn't directly line up across from the access into Super 1 there, we do believe that that's an adequate position. And certainly the distance requirements from the intersections are a lot closer to meeting the MDOT and Marquette Township standards. So, associated parking, dumpster location, plenty of room for snow storage. We see that the 20-foot clear area has been provided. As we know, the tunnel is complete and there will be a pathway extended in the spring of 2020 that will terminate here at the corner. And we were able to negotiate the extension of a pathway to the north along the property's edge here that they are willing to install. That's a big win for us. As you know, we'd like to connect up to that existing Safe Routes to School infrastructure that we have on Venture and eventually up to North Star Academy. So this will get us a good chunk of the way there. And of course, we know that imminent development will be coming from the rest of the North Crest Group on the north half of the property at some point, possibly even this year. So we hope to continue that and keep working that private-public partnership to get these pathways installed to help customers get to the store. Also per ordinance, with the pathway being going to be constructed there, you see this connection made from the pathway to the actual development. So some of those zoning or text amendments are starting to take fruition here, and that's a really positive thing to see. The landscaping plan is outstanding, although you'll have to make a cut in here for your for the sidewalk. But all of the landscape plan we thought was really robust and very nicely done. One of the conditions that we are recommending, first of all, we're recommending approval of the site plan. I think it's a great site plan. But a couple of the conditions are, of course, reviewing HVAC and electrical, mechanicals. Those drawings really haven't been derived yet until this process moves forward. Stormwater is proposed to take place for the entire parcel up in the northern part of the property here. So there'll be easements and there'll be the capacity to incorporate all of the development into that stormwater retention area. So I know that they're working hurriedly on that, and we'll continue to update you on that, but we are recommending approval condition upon that being satisfied. We also discussed our design standards that we have in the township and have been provided with what we would consider to be excellent elevations or facade. You can see the architectural breaks in the longer linear walls, and the colors that have been chosen are certainly consistent with the native colors that we have for development around here. With that being said, this project was also a brownfield project. If the two board members that are here remember, there was some soils that were less than desirable on the property as a result of the fueling station that was there for 30 some odd years. So the township did enter into a brownfield plan. This is the second one that we've utilized in the township in the last several years. And that was an important tool to help make this property ready for redevelopment. It's a hot corner, and we believe that this development, utilizing the south 1.54 acres, is a really excellent redesign and reuse of the property. A couple other of the conditions that we're seeking approval with would be Grading, drainage and stormwater, utility services. There are utilities proposed on the plan, and those just need to be basically paid for and firmed up logistically. And then fire prevention, of course, the actual floor plans and suppression plans and everything will need to be reviewed by the fire department. You can see that on 3G, that the geotechnical survey and analysis was provided, and it received a green designation for redevelopment, so that's an important component. That's actually at a higher level of review than the township. That's more of a state review, so that's a positive thing. 3I, signs, of course, would need to be submitted separately from the site plan, and we'll review those separately as well. If the signage looks good so far. And then 4, other factors. A, the applicant shall acquire all required Marquette County building permits. A financial guarantee has been submitted in the amount of $19,000, which is 1% of the estimated cost of the development. C, that proposed pedestrian pathway shall be constructed in conjunction with the Marquette County Road Commission and with existing pathway cross-section already in place in Marquette Township. So whatever the cross-section is that'll come along in front of the store, we would propose that the developer works with that cross-section to continue that in the same fashion. And then D, during construction, gravel tracking pads shall be installed at both driveway aprons to minimize dirt and mud from entering the public rights of way. That was something that we've kind of are warming up to. We'll probably make a zoning text amendment at some point in the future with regard to site plan review standards, but I believe that's an important component, especially in the spring. It gets pretty sloppy around here, and I know that you'll be itching to get going as soon as we're able to. So with that being said, staff is recommending approval of the site plan condition on those items, and would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Also, Ryan is here, and he's more than welcome to come up and add any additional detail that he'd like.
Mike? Couple
Mr. Wiegand.
questions for Jason. You mentioned the snow storage area. Can you point out on there where that is, and what's the, refresh my memory on what the rule is about storing snow in the clear area?
Yeah, it can't be stored in the buffer area. That's something that we went over with Ryan. Ryan, do you want to point out on the, I'll back up to just the general site plan, if you want to identify storage areas, but certainly they have the room to do so.
I mean, I can see where they make sense, but
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, the thought was in that southeast corner primarily, kind of where we have the most land area up here, right?
southeast corner?
Yep.
That's on the intersection then, or right in 41?
Yeah, so basically along that eastern portion of the parking lot area there up in the green space. I don't know if there's, we could lose a couple parking spaces during the winter time as well in some of these spots. I don't know if that's frowned upon by the township to utilize those spaces.
No,
But there is
I mean, I'm not going to speak for the township, but that happens all over the place.
Yeah, but there is quite a bit of green space there along the east and south sides of the site there in the green areas for snow storage.
The other question was with the pedestrian sidewalks out there. You said somebody was putting those in who's...
Yeah, the developer will be putting them in, and they'll be located within the public right-of-way, much like a utility main or
Okay.
very similar.
So Jason, I was kind of wondering why these weren't initialed here yet. That's all the things that were met. But is that,
Oh,
I mean, do we know what's been met? And what,
yeah, they should all be initial, but I'll take credit for not doing that. Yeah, we feel that the site plan is very
So
well
all of
presented.
these have been completed?
Satisfied, yes.
Okay. And the drainage for this?
Well,
I
minus the
understand-
items that we're asking for conditional approval on. Like the stormwater needs to be worked out, utility connections, signage, but everything else is pretty much good to go.
Mr. Wiegand?
A couple things cause me concern, and it's more based on the past experience we've had here of late. One is the other factors under 4. I understand that, the gravel tracking pads was added in there to make sure that the mud and dirt doesn't get on the roadway, but I would like to add an E that says the mud and dirt entering the public roadway shall be removed daily. I know it's supposed to anyway by county standards, but just to avoid, you know how that goes.
Certainly, yeah, and that gives the township the ability to basically enforce the site plan standards. So if the development goes through and does occur, property sold, etc., then these standards will become, the standards of which the development should operate on. So if, once the project gets going in the spring, it's a sloppy day, to maintain and keep dust and everything out of the right of way, what Commissioner
It just-
Wiegand is saying is that the developer shall clean those up on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, if traffic, what I'm trying to relay is that traffic in and out of the construction site is undoubtedly going to get mud and stuff on the roadway. And by the county standards, it needs to be swept off every day, but I think it needs to be mentioned here that it has to be cleaned daily. The other thing that concerns me is the agreement that's being worked out for the joint stormwater storage. I guess what I see happening, or potentially could happen, is we've started construction and the deal falls apart in the back end with the stormwater storage, and now we have no place to put it. And we're under construction, footings are in and everything else, and we ran across that at the last development where things changed, but we already had our footings in, and oops, we got to deal with it. And I guess to remedy that, I would like to add a clause in the recommendation that says approve the proposed site plan contingent on the submission and approval of items 3D, E, F, I, and 4, and 4 would include 4E, and then add a sentence on the end of that that says prior to commencement of on-site construction activities, and to install the addition of items 4E as follows. So in other words, require those items that have not been accomplished yet, I mean, we've got all winter to do it, right? Is to require those to be done before the on-site construction begins. So that, in my mind, ensures that the agreements are worked out for the stormwater storage. The stormwater, because it's going to be an off-site storage, has been worked out prior to the start of construction so that we don't have any of those things that happen where we don't have anything to put stormwater in now because we don't have a deal.
I can tell you just with my long history working with Discount Tire, they're not gonna close on the property until that agreement is in place with the seller.
Well, and I don't think either one of those requirements make any change in anything because they're required anyway. But if they're in the dialogue and the recommendation and the approval, and if it's 4E is part of that, the required to clean that dirt out, I mean, that doesn't change anything. You still have to do that. It just gives us the proper verbiage to say, wait, why are you putting footings in when we don't have the agreement in our hand yet? And again, I mean, yeah, common sense says they're going to be done anyway, but sometimes common sense gets lost in the shuffle. And the next thing you go, we're sitting here trying to figure out what we're gonna do to accommodate that now.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I'm not even gonna provide full zoning compliance until all of those things are in place, so. They're already working on it, and I'm sure it's just a matter of a couple weeks before this is all hammered out.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's all gonna get worked out anyway. I'd just like to change that recommendation for approval to include that, just to mention that the on-site construction can't begin until those items are accomplished.
Sure.
So we're gonna add 4E and we're gonna include all of 4, of course.
Yeah, and include
Okay.
4 would automatically include 4E.
Okay. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I just wanted to let you know about just some of the operations of how Discount Tire operates. It's typically an 8 to 6 operation, Monday through Saturday. I know some communities are always concerned about tire storage. All of their tire storage, dead tire areas are inside the building itself. They have an extensive racking system that is kind of utilizing the latest technology, so they get all their new tires inside that building, kind of in a multi-tier. They have a mezzanine level as well. So I know a lot of people get concerned about how tires are stored. So I wanted to mention that, and then also that there's no overnight parking allowed typically. So the cars that come that day are gone by the end of the night. So there's just a couple, additional things I wanted to mention about how they operate their business.
So you're saying that there won't be any cars outside? Anybody that leaves a car overnight will be inside?
So, well, typically the people that come, and this is why Discount Tire likes to position themselves next to restaurants, next to grocery stores, is they come, they go do business for 45 minutes to an hour, their car's done, and they take it
Okay.
away. So it's very, very rare, and they kind of discourage the overnight parking of vehicles. So it typically takes 45 minutes to an hour to service a vehicle. So
Is it strictly tires, or are there any other work that goes on, like brakes or any of that?
only tire and wheel sales and installation, that's it.
Okay.
That's all they do.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay, Steve.
On this sheet 2 of 9, it shows an existing property line on the north line up there, and then there's a crosshatch that looks like an easement, something like that. And it says proposed new property line. Has that parcel been conveyed already?
No, we have received 2 site plans and one was adjusted. You are looking at the most recent version of that, so that's showing the difference between the 2 site plans.
Okay,
the
so when
nor-
they say existing, it does not exist legally. That is not a separate parcel as it exists.
Correct,
That's one main parcel. That's one parent
Correct.
parcel.
correct.
Okay, it's never been split.
It has not.
Okay, so you got your 4 splits out of that. What's zoning size for that?
20,000 square feet.
Okay, okay. On the next page, at least one page that I saw, maybe page 3 of 9, it looks like you're showing the, kind of showing the Napa property to the west, and then you have a inverted pan curb and gutter. So is that gonna be plowed constantly like that? You're gonna be plowing a curb?
So the reason that we put in that inverted pan on that
Yeah.
is just because of the way that the site is graded
Okay.
currently.
But I mean, we get a buttload of snow up here.
Yeah,
So that's not gonna cause any plowing issues?
it shouldn't,
Okay.
no.
Okay, and there's also another one where you show a truck route coming out of 492. It's this way, the page there. And it shows a truck coming out 492, swinging around the northwest corner of the building, mounting a curb every time, and then continuing on to 41, is that right? So it's gonna mount that curb that's next to the building?
So, yeah, are you talking about the access drive on the north side?
Yeah, there was one in here that had a schematic showing the trucks coming
It's
out.
on 3 of 9,
3 of 9.
on the left side of the,
There it is. So it shows it mounting that curb every time as it comes around the west face of that building. And you got a thickened edge sidewalk there. And that's not gonna cause any issues for those folks? I mean, that's coming real close to that building, isn't it?
So it's a 40-foot throat on that. We didn't see that as a sidewalk necessarily. It's a B2 curb, which is a mountable
Oh,
Curb.
okay. Yeah, all I see is this says thick and edge sidewalk.
So it's a thickened edge sidewalk on the south side,
Yeah,
north side,
Yeah.
and
west side, where you have the text and a little arrow leading right to it.
Or south side.
that's the end of the thickened edge sidewalk. And then it goes into a concrete apron where it's flared. It
Oh, okay,
just
so
goes
everything,
down.
everything north of that, thinking that there's a transition point there, so.
Exactly,
And then-
yeah.
okay, okay,
And then, so that's your pad where the cars are entering.
Okay, so that's actually pads for the garage doors.
Yep,
Okay, so that's flush with the
Yep.
hot mix there.
yep.
Okay. Okay. Now, the access road that's on the north there, that's gonna be for Napa as well?
Correct, they'll be able to utilize it.
They'll utilize that, or are they just gonna use the one from on the south? Either one?
No, everybody enjoys that,
Okay.
as well as the future development to the north.
Okay, so there will be no other curb cuts on that northern parcel?
Correct,
That's what you understand?
correct.
That's what you understand?
On this northern parcel of the road,
No, of the northern parcel that you own. There's a
it
northern
is
tire
our-
parcel and
It
then,
is our plan
Uh-huh.
that that would be a shared access.
okay, so then there'd be three people. You, Napa, Discount Tire, and whoever develops to the north will also use that same drive.
Correct.
And you don't anticipate another curb cut for that?
We do not anticipate.
Okay.
No,
Now,
we had a lengthy discussion about the required distances, and that's why that location was chosen.
Okay, just so I get the nomenclature right, we're talking about retention basin or detention basin?
You took me retention or detention, is
Yeah.
that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I guess, to this point, it's,
I guess,
I don't know.
in the, and to kind of set you at ease with this, the calculations with the engineers and the state and everything, I believe Jason was involved some with it, have already been done for the entire property. Because we were being asked to, how will they deal with retention on this property?
Okay.
We, again, talking with Jason, realized that the best possible scenario was to share retention and get it in one spot and not have these retention ponds scattered all over the property. So that, as you can see on 4 of 9, it's kind of already been calculated where that storm drain is going back to a retention pond, as Jason showed you on the beginning here.
What's he talking about? Where's
Right there. As you know, there is a large retention.
That blue area up there.
Oh,
Mike.
right, I understand that, but where does it show that it's moving it that way?
4 of 9, there's a stormwater leading to the north and to the west with catch
To a
basins.
regional detention system.
Oh, detention.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
I
now,
see.
now, just so I understand, a retention basin does not release water unless there's really high water, and then it'll flow.
Correct.
A detention basin just allows it to
Restrict.
migrate out.
Basically,
So,
it's
are we
stored.
talking about a retention or detention here?
It would be
Detention.
detention, I guess.
Okay,
yeah.
so then where does it go from there,
Until it gets to a certain level,
right?
then it will be metered with it's usually a lot of times a 6-inch pipe or whatever,
Okay.
at a certain level,
Okay,
then we'll go down the ditch from there
okay.
and off, and down where the rest of the water goes. But typically, there's been some really strict new requirements on retention for water, and they kind of increase the amount you have to have. So, to actually, if I could show you here, the amount of detention is actually here now and here. There used to be retention that covered this whole piece of property. But with the new regulations now, that will not be enough. So the retention is now, we tried to use the less appealing part of the property, the back part of the property. There's another retention pond right over here for all of Target. And so that is going to be the retention, and all these calculations were done by Overstar's engineers and the authorities of what we'd have to have for retention for the whole property.
Based on the surface area that's covered with asphalt, that kind of stuff?
based on actually the entire.
The entire thing being
Yeah,
a hard
impervious.
surface.
And it's all taken into consideration with the asphalt and
Okay.
that area on there. So
Now-
we had to, we're working with Viscom Tire,
Yeah.
so we couldn't just throw a figure at them, of, here's how much we gotta have for retention. We had to calculate everything out with their site plan in mind and with the best possible guess of the next business that would come in there to have enough retention for everybody. Because it would be not very advantageous to do it and not know what you need for the next, you know, and put it, we decided to
Max it out.
max it out and cover everything that would ever come in that direction. So, we think it's a real nice way to handle things because it makes it more attractive looking property too. And you don't have retention ponds all over and cattails sticking up out on 41 here, and it just, and I see with the nice layout they have with their, you know, landscaping, that's gonna look real nice out on the highway there too, so. I think with the new property across the street, this one, that ought to become real attractive.
Yeah, staff was able to work with the current property owners to maximize their investment. Keep the stormwater kind of out of the way, and out of sight, out of mind. But we have the Cadillac of stormwater ordinances.
Right. No, I was just curious.
Yeah, you do, there's no question about you do, but.
And we get complimented on
You
that a
know,
lot,
and
actually.
just to, I hope you can see that when we do development here, from our past experience in dealing with this, the retention is put in properly and we don't have a problem with, you know, putting it in after it's done or not putting it in. We have that all engineered out before we ever start, so. And this one is no different.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm not what I would call ill at ease with any of this. I think anything I'm recommending here is something that has to be done anyway. I'm just
Absolutely.
making
And it
sure
is.
that
It
it's
is.
in writing.
It is, it's gotta be done. You wouldn't probably be allowed to open your facility until that was all approved, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, but we've had a recent incident where that didn't quite get clarified in writing, and I was just amazed at all the misunderstandings that, Travel
And
back
you're
and
right,
forth.
if it isn't, yeah, there's a lot of misunderstandings.
so if it's not in writing, I just feel better if it's in writing. And like I say, it's not gonna change what your obligations are anyway.
No, so, thanks.
Yeah, I got a few more questions for you. So I see that you're gonna have a duplex grinder there.
Yep.
What's the purpose of the grinder, Paul?
Well,
Are you putting that into a force main? 'Cause
We're
you got
connecting to a force main.
Okay, because you go on 6-inch in and 2-inch out, okay. So that is a force main you're gonna be feeding, that, is that a force main up there?
Yes,
Hmm?
Okay,
where we're connecting it.
okay. And so how is the roof drained?
So roof drains all, should show that on there. If you go to sheet 4, all the roof drainage is directed to that 8-inch that is coming into the building.
Okay.
So, with
Okay, so
down-
is it internal
Yeah,
plumbing for the roof
Yeah.
drains? And then scuppers for overflow?
yeah.
Okay. You have nice plans, man.
It's a lot going on for an acre and a half,
Yeah,
but it's well positioned and
yeah, no, it's
the
nice.
circulation looks good.
Yeah, you got good plans here too. Some of these are probably cut and paste, but at least the localized stuff is very nice.
Grading was a little bit difficult just because of how the grade difference from 41, moving back to the north side of the site, so positioning a flat building there made some challenges from a grading perspective, but that's still worked out pretty good.
Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you, Jason, you said that it was given the $ designation for green
Yeah.
for the soils. What kind of contamination are we talking about in there?
Well, I'm sure Tom would know more than I do. I'm not an engineer by any means, but
Excuse me, I didn't quite get that.
The
There was
soils, there was a designation that Jason mentioned that it was I forget what-
Just that they have been cleaned up to the satisfaction
Oh,
of
that,
the
it's been
state.
cleaned to that degree, and they say this is now what the soil
Ready,
is
yeah,
like?
ready to develop.
Is there any remediation left to do there?
Actually, we kind of did what was required by
Uh-huh.
the state, and we went beyond that.
Okay.
And we were even asked why, but we went and dug a couple other areas out that were not even required, but we felt, we're just not
Yeah.
comfortable with this one little spot here, because they showed they had a minor little spill one time, and so we went in and dug another 4 feet out of there.
Yeah.
To keep any problem with ever what they call vapor intrusion, if you can't show that you went that way. So even the eagle there kind of was like, normally, people don't go beyond, but it was such a beautiful site.
Yeah.
We wanted to not get down to the last little bit and say, oh, we don't want to spend the money, because the extensive amount of money spent on the brownfield was quite a bit. So, and it's what really nice is any of that area is now being, I think the perfect scenario, Jason, is capped with a slab and parking, and there's just nothing exposed anymore whatsoever where that station ever was.
They didn't even find any plumes migrating down there or anything, did they? From gas, any of the weird toxic stuff?
No, there were a couple of hot spots that were removed by the developer.
Okay.
Any other questions? In that case, be looking for a motion. Mr. Regan?
I would make a motion to approve the site plan contingent on the submission and approval of items 3D, 3E, 3F, 3I, and 4 prior to the commencement of on-site activities, and to include the addition of item 4E as follows: mud and dirt entering public road right-of-way shall be removed daily.
So do we have a second?
I second, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
I'd just like to
Thank you,
say,
gentlemen.
thank you for the great site plan.
Yeah.
Ryan and I had many discussions and emails back and forth on how to massage it to get what we were looking for out of it, and we want to thank the Northcrest Group for being open to the idea of consolidating driveways and sharing access. Those are all very positive things, so we think that's better, in the end, it's just better for the customer, but
Kind of a great win-win.
it was a win-win, so we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's a good site, too.
Okay, next item, 7B, under new business. Planning Commission meeting on audio and Marquette Township YouTube channel discussion.
Take care. Yes. So I received an email from Clerk Rattari, but basically, he was directed by supervisor to see if the planning commission was interested, and I think that it was more of a suggestion that the planning commission place their meeting minutes, audio on YouTube. So I think Roger provided some legal opinion on it, stating that it wasn't a violation of any kind, but that it wasn't absolutely necessary either. He also indicated that we kind of had this issue come up with the Jackson short-term rental situation where our meeting minute audio was FOIA'd, but it had been destroyed or deleted prior to the township board approving those minutes. So that's a correction that we made. I think that's actually happened when Isaac was here. But essentially, what we've been operating under is once the meeting minutes are done in ledger form
And approved.
and approved, then the audio is removed. And that's has a legal connotation to it because the meeting minutes should be the official record and have been for hundreds of years. The other thing I worry about is that we often have these candid conversations before the meeting, after the meeting. I don't know how to edit and cut and splice, okay? So I'm gonna have to learn how to do that, to cut, you know, where the meeting starts and then cut when it stops. I guess from a staff's perspective, I know that they want, and Roger sees that, that we need to have both the planning commission's approval and the board's approval to put it on YouTube. It would be my recommendation, I don't care either way, but my recommendation would be to continue on with just ledger format meeting minutes, but that's completely up to you.
If I could just clarify on what the board discussion was on that, it's because there have been some contentious items that have been in front of the planning commission. The short-term rental, Fox Subaru. And it was there, the discussion went that that would be a lot easier for everybody to see what went on if there was either the audio recording was available on YouTube or on the meetings where we were going to have something like a public hearing, that we would actually have them come in and make that audio, make it a video, and put it on the YouTube so that everybody that can't get to the meeting could actually see what was going on. I talked to Clerk Rattari on that, and he would be the guy that actually takes that and moves it over. And he's done that on a number of them now, and he says it's not an issue with that discussion before the meeting and discussion after the meeting. He's got that all figured out. He knows how to load that on so you don't see any of that or you don't hear any of that. So he didn't think it was a big deal. He said it seemed to think it'd take him about 10 or 15 minutes when he got this recording to actually get it downloaded onto YouTube.
So who makes the call on what meetings get recorded and which ones don't?
That would be a planning commission request. It was a recommendation of the board that if you're going to record, if you're going to have to do audio on any of them, you do audio on all of them.
Yeah.
So that you have a consistent record, so you can go back and review what was going on. And if you choose to do a video recording, that would be at the request of the planning commission. So if you've got something coming up that is you can foresee as a rather contentious item, you might want to get that on audio or on video so you could go back and review what went on. So that was a discussion at the board level. Is to if the planning commission wished to do it, they would do it the audio recording on YouTube for every meeting, and then they would select those that they wanted to do video on, and we would have John come in and do the video on it. It doesn't remove the requirement for the written minutes or anything like that.
Right.
That's still there, so
Right.
this is just an addition to.
And how long is that retained then?
Forever.
It would have to be, because if there ever came to litigation, I mean, and then storm on
It's the same
on a
as
hard drive?
it's the same as the video for the board meetings. They keep that forever.
So that format's no good anymore.
Yeah, and I find the video on the board meetings quite handy. I sit on the board and I go back and I review that whole meeting between the end of one and the start of another one, so that you can see what else went on that you didn't pick up at the time, because it gets kind of busy, and just go back and listen to it and watch it and see what, if something else went on or somebody said something that needed to be
didn't hear.
clarified.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't hear. So I found the video portion of the board meetings quite handy, and I don't see a drawback to the audio. I would have thought it would have been more of an inconvenience for the person that was loading it onto the YouTube, but Randy, the clerk, just said, nah, it's not a big deal.
That's fine, yeah, because I basically upload that to a folder on the hard drive, and it sits there until it gets deleted after the board approves the minutes, but from now on, it can sit there forever, and he can go in there and pull it out himself. That's fine.
Yeah, and what he said is all he'd do. He'd just go in and pick it up from where you had it, and he would edit it so that starts on time and ends on time and get rid of all, because that's one question I had for him is what about all the discussion that goes in the minute and a half after you turn the recording on until you actually start the meeting, and he said that the recording, the audio doesn't start until the meeting's called to order, and it ends abruptly when the meeting's adjourned.
So he knows how to splice, yeah, I don't know how to
Yeah.
do that.
And he said the only thing you gotta do is you gotta make sure that the audio equipment's on, everybody's gotta have their mics on.
Yep.
That's what makes it come over the recorder better.
Okay.
He also mentioned like the video would be $30 a meeting.
Yeah, and that would come out of the planning commission budget. It is $30 a meeting, and that, I mean, you may go a whole year and not have any video.
Right.
It's just a matter of the, I mean, you know when they're coming up. If we would have had that opportunity and given any thought, we would have done it at the Subaru. We would have had a video of that. And even the short-term rental, I don't think those are a bad idea to video those, because they get a little carried away sometimes.
So should we break this into two parts, one on audio and then, or we just do it as audio every time and then, like you say, whenever we think there
Video
might
upon
be
request.
something? Video on request.
Yeah.
Steve, any questions or?
Makes sense to me.
Okay.
So do people watch those, listen to those?
I do.
I mean, you can see, it shows you the number of views, right? Is it
Right.
1,000 or 8?
No,
It's
it's in the tens.
10?
Really?
like below 10.
I have to
I've
comb my
never-
hair or what?
I've never looked at that portion of it, but
Oh yeah, you can see.
I go watch all the videos.
What do
And
we
it's
got
not because I
here?
don't
What
have
did we
anything
say?
else to do,
Oh,
it's just because I want to
58,
make
here
sure I
we go.
did my job.
Only 3 views of January 7th. And that was an interesting one.
34, 58.
Huh?
We had 58 of December 3rd.
There you go.
So
Okay, do we have a motion?
I would make a motion that, I think it's a motion to request of the board that the planning commission do
Allowed.
audio recordings of their meetings on YouTube and video recordings upon request of the planning commission.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
It's a good thing Jason will get a vote.
Yeah, I know. I don't blame him. I mean, to me, it actually seems like it opens us up for more liability, but,
And actually, it doesn't.
okay,
It
good.
actually puts some of that to rest.
okay, that's good to know. Okay, unfinished business. We have draft marijuana zoning text amendment discussion.
So we've nailed down the definitions. And now, if you saw the article in the newspaper yesterday, you saw that the city has been working on it. And so, with respect to, and I don't know if you guys want to wait till a full planning commission sees it or not, but, to have a more robust discussion about it. But essentially, you know, we're gonna have to select some zoning districts which are permissible for each of the different categories of license, and then the classes. I would suggest that some proximity buffers to religious locations or schools be added. In the reviews that I've been doing of other ordinances, they've been in the 500, 750, 1,000 foot range. And the number of allowable licenses, for, you know, for each different category would be something that could also be put into play. So, I mean, the way our land uses work now is that we have Article 15, which has all your zoning districts and, you know, what type of land use would be permitted. I would just see adding one called marijuana, and then listing out those in the land use nomograph.
Under the big heading of marijuana, you would just break it down into the categories and the,
For the definition.
yeah,
Yep.
and then just,
And then you could add, and I would recommend that they all be special use permits, of course.
mhm.
And that public hearings would be had. But basically, you know, you'd want to pick out you basically have 2 or 3 different zoning districts that I would recommend that would be considered. General business, development district, and segregated business, or which is our industrial district.
Yeah.
So for the next meeting, what I was proposing to do would be, and then we have to attach some kind of land use intensity to all of those as well. And that fits into the buffer yard requirements, of course, between differing land uses. So we've defined them. Now we need to insert them into the land use nomograph. And then at some point after that, once we figure out where they go, then we can go into detailed use regulations, have a section on marijuana, and then you can go into any other kind of parameters that you want to place, such as the proximity restrictions and the number of licenses. But that's basically where we're at least in my view. The next step would be to work on where you want to see them or don't want to see them.
Well, I think that there's only 3 zoning areas where you could logically go in. I mean, I think the tendency might be to overthink it as opposed to, because some of it just makes sense.
Would it be helpful at the next meeting to have that inserted into a draft amendment of this? Yep. And I'll go through and just kind of plug stuff in where, based on my research, where they should go.
If there
And
was
then you guys can pick it apart.
If there was a draft that had the heading of marijuana and then broke down all the different categories underneath it, and if you left all that blank next to it, and
Then we could go through.
and we could sit there and hammer out where we're going to put the X's and
Okay.
or the SPs or whatever they are.
Yeah, in fact, I could print out a large format sheet and we could just put them in marker or whatever. And
I just don't think it would take that long. And then the detailed use would come after that.
Yep.
And we'd put all the different restrictions on it for.
Yeah, so basically you're looking at a zoning text amendment that would have 3 different sections of the ordinance, 3 different articles of the ordinance. 1 would be the definitions, 2 would be principal uses permitted in districts, and then 3 would be the detailed use regulations.
And I think probably the more picky thing that we're going to do is a detailed use. But it's really to pick out where they're going to go that's just pretty much common sense.
Okay. All right. Well, that gives me enough direction.
Especially if we decide, if we can agree that everything is going to be a special use, which I think that's a foregone conclusion, right? And require a public hearing. It's pretty easy to plug those in.
Okay. That gives me enough direction then to move the ball down the field for the January 22nd meeting.
Okay.
Do we have any understanding why the state is spelling marijuana differently than the usual name?
I don't know either. And in fact, maybe we should, let me talk to Roger about that to see if there's a more correct way to.
There might be a reason that we just don't know.
It could be a whole nother substance.
Well, is it
Marijuana.
it's I guess I don't know for sure.
It just seems like a phonetic spelling to me.
Or is it something like the Latin word
I don't know.
for?
Well, I'd hate to assume that they just spelled it wrong and make the change.
No, they haven't, because I've been seeing it since the beginning of the discussion. So
Yeah.
okay, that should take care of that, and we'll move forward.
Because I believe the plant is called cannabis, right?
The plant?
Isn't it?
Yeah, me.
Okay.
Has anybody been to the fire station in the gun? Have you gone in there?
Joe.
No.
After you.
Oh, yeah. No, I've talked to the guys there, and they had, what their issue is now, what they're finding out their issue is it,
Parking?
no, well, that too, because, but it's the availability of product. So right now, the product is probably about 100% more, costs are about 100% higher than they will be once the system providers get, because they get it from downstate. That's the closest licensed grower that they can purchase from. They have to have it transported up here by a licensed transporter. $4,000 was their transportation fees for their last shipment coming up here. And he said, once that gets going, then they can you know, prices would be more reasonable and there'd be some sense of what's going on there, but the license fees are just, it's $250,000 for a scientific lab.
They gotta take their tires apart and pack that stuff in the tires.
Let's get it all in there.
But, yeah, so they're, but, you know, they did a nice job fixing it up, and, you know, they're a quarter mile from the state police post, and, you know, they're running that as a tight ship.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're really doing a nice job with it.
I'm sure the pucker factor is pretty high.
Take that off the tape, would you?
The tires? Dave's got some, apparently some trafficking experience as a pilot there.
I think that's just a Mexico run.
Low flying planes.
No, I've seen that happen at the Port Huron border going into Canada.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they're actually ripping the rubber right off of the rims and pulling marijuana out of it.
And they tell you, put your tires back.
There you go.
Importantly, though, in one of my, I guess, daydreams that I have once in a while is for Northern Michigan University to build some kind of research facility in the township and have that synergy between NMU and the market, if you will, that would lead to high-tech industry jobs in Marquette Township. So I definitely want to make sure that gets inserted into the ordinance to at least allow for that, should that opportunity present.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you know, the people that, you know, determine, you know, quality, pesticide-free, that kind of stuff, I mean, that's what they're teaching these kids at Northern now. And it seemed like it'd be a natural just to have some sort of actual
research center. Yeah, Northern owns property in the township. So, and I did present to the Rotary Club on Monday at noon, and Ms. Fitz, or what's his name? Fitzpatrick?
For who?
The president of NMU was there.
Oh, yeah.
So I gave a couple of examples when I worked in Ashland, how Northland College students, a very environmental school, were working on bioretention swales in the city with the city to give those students some real world experience. And I looked directly at them and I said, I hope Northern can work with, you know, the township in the future with regard to, you know, other things that they have going on that would give students good, you know, good real world experience. So, yeah, interesting discussion, and it's amazing how far we can come in 1 year with regard to something like marijuana.
Yeah.
Okay, that was discussion on that. 8B, we have Lions Field Ice Rink conceptual roof design discussion.
Yeah, so the Recreation Committee, for Steve's edification, have basically been tasked by the Township Board to come up with a concept that would extend the ice season and usability of the ice rink itself. We looked at a few different things, including synthetic ice, but we felt that the roof would actually be kind of a more user-friendly type of structure, almost equal in the amount of cost, and would allow the residents to utilize that space in many different ways, not just as an ice surface, but you could hold little markets there, or
Movie nights.
A number of different things. So, long story short, the Recreation Committee commissioned staff to go ahead with having somebody do some conceptual renderings, which we've done. Those are presented for you, and we're hoping to push this back up to the board so that they can do it with it what they want to do, and cross off our checklist of what our responsibilities were.
Should also help with ice maintenance too. And
Yeah, it would extend the life, because as soon as the sun hits ice, a lot of times, you know, it would allow the ice to remain longer.
Well, we still have that problem over there. We don't have usable ice yet over there.
Well, yeah, and we're supposed to warm up tomorrow.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's that warm up where it gets to the sun's out and it's 30-ish degrees out, melts all that ice out. If there's a roof on there, that wouldn't happen.
Should also mean less snow removal too,
Yep.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
especially if we do any screening on the
And so it makes the ice better itself, because you're not taking all that snow off there all the time.
Snow can have a melting effect on the ice. A great example of a covered rink is the one in Scandia, at least when I was growing up. I don't know if it's still covered out there. Maybe Pete does. But theirs has always been covered, and remember, always having really hard ice out there to skate on.
So is this gonna be just a sheet of ice, or is it gonna be like a hockey area on one side?
Oh, it's, no, none of the usability of it has changed. I mean, the ice rink is there.
Yeah,
You know, we don't have hours for general skating and hours for,
okay.
you know, hockey.
And it's really never been an issue. Everything works.
Yeah.
We've got rules posted out there. Everything seems to work well. Nobody's screaming at anybody because they're getting abused on it or anything. So.
Yeah. You put like a curling lane down on one end too.
That'd be fun.
I think so.
You can do that like on maybe a Saturday night or something.
Yeah, I think so. Do you know that curling is the only sport in the Olympics where you can drink beer and participate?
I did not.
All right.
So it'd be great to have a motion to get this to the board for their consideration, where and when feasible.
I would make a motion to recommend this to the board for their consideration.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
9A, Sustainable Built Environment Initiative, the grant update. You want me to do that?
Go ahead.
We had our first community visioning on December the 16th. And we had 4 people from Michigan State. We had a health department, Jerry, I don't remember his name, but we had basically then 20 other people. Mr. McCarthy was there, myself, Connor Loftus from the rec committee was there. Jim Johnson came in a little bit later, but he joined us. Lynn Durant was there. Those are the township people that I remember being there.
Mm-hmm.
And we broke up into 3 groups, and we came up with a bunch of ideas. They're going to take those back, work with them, and later on this year, or early this year, they will return for a second community visioning workshop, and it will be a final one, hopefully by June or April sometime, that time. Otherwise, it was a good meeting, and we're looking forward to the next set of results. 9B, US 481 Corridor Advisory Group meeting minutes from November the 12th. Anybody, were you there at that, Jason? Anything?
Yep.
You wanna
Yeah, I
add?
just put those in there for your information.
Okay.
Not a whole lot to say about B, C, or D. And then on E, I just wanted to explain that I would like to bring the complete master plan back at the 22nd meeting. If the planning commission is in agreement with the quality of the plan at that time, we can schedule a public hearing for it and then get it out for its review after the public hearing.
Now, our rec plan has been submitted, is that correct? For or no, it's going to go in as part of the master plan?
Right, yep.
Okay, because I know that you were wanting to get it in early enough so we would be able to apply for, if we got around to applying for state grants.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be applying for any this year,
Okay.
but we definitely wanna have that plan on file. So at some point this year, we gotta get it on with the DNR and get it approved so that,
Well, that has been approved, right?
by the
Well, the rec-
DNR,
No, by it.
By us?
yes.
We've moved, the board's
yes.
moved it to.
Yep. So
And
it's
the
out,
board's moved it.
it's going out for review towards the end of the week. There'll be a transmission from myself out to the surrounding municipalities.
Okay.
Same way with the master plan, basically saying, hey, you know, if you have any comments, please provide it. But that requires a 30-day review. as
Yeah,
opposed to
just
60.
clarification of what I said, the board doesn't have to review it. We gave it to the board for their information, and they had no comments or questions.
That's right. It's a component of the master
Master
plan,
plan. Okay,
as well as the transportation.
as well as the transportation, and that's going to be sent out as well.
Well, the transportation plan is in-house.
Okay.
It doesn't need to go out.
All right, because most communities don't necessarily have one.
Right. The rec plan is what needs to be
Okay.
vetted.
But the transportation plan isn't it's appendix to the master plan, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
in a sense also than the rec committee is too, or rec plan.
The rec plan is, definitely
Definitely
is.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, reports, township board report.
Well. the town-
WWE Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, there you go. January 3rd continued. We've been
Steve will have to watch that.
working diligently on getting our manager candidates to get a replacement for Randy, who is into his extension already. He actually officially retired. It was supposed to be on the 31st. He got up to a 5-month extension, and we're cutting into that now. We still haven't got a conditional offer of employment out to anybody. We've got a meeting tomorrow if people like to show up.
3 p.m.
3 p.m. to discuss the last candidate that we've got. And if this doesn't work out, we're back to the drawing board.
Randy will get another extension. He'll be here longer.
I don't think he will be.
Can we-
Oh, really?
can we discuss
Because
this
I
now?
asked him, I
What's
said,
that?
how's
We've
the
had
field
4
being in here?
applicants, is that correct?
We've had 4 applicants.
Your
And
last
3
year.
applicants were just
He said, I don't know, I've worked
Determined
since I
that-
was 14.
quality applicants?
No, 3 applicants. The 3
I told him I'm
previous
happy to be in
applicants
my last year.
were
Are you?
Yeah,
a manager from
yeah, this is
Newberry,
it.
Yeah.
Planning commission, rec
And
committee, road committee.
the superintendent of public
I
works.
would like
Yeah.
to stay on the
was
DDA
there.
though.
And then we had Ron Yesney from the DNR.
Yeah.
That was one of the applicants. There was an offer, or there was a motion for conditional offer of employment to the manager from Newberry
Uh-huh.
and John Kangas, and they were defeated. The motions were defeated,
Okay.
and they elected not. There was a motion not to offer a conditional employment to Ron Yesney, and that passed. And that's where it stands now. We just had the number 4 candidate, which is Dennis Limata, who used to be the supervisor here. He was in for an interview on the 3rd of January. And we set a special meeting at last night's meeting. We set a special meeting to consider his application tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And that's where we stand with that. We are working on the wording in the contract. That's going to also happen tomorrow. There obviously has to be some changes because the contract we have is set for somebody that's been here for 17 years. And the new contract will have to make some adjustments for a new person. And that is about it. The focus has generally been on replacing the manager. We did approve the purchase of some snow removal equipment at last night's meeting. Fairly substantial piece of equipment by our standards. It's a what they call a compact front end loader,
Okay.
which is about half the size of standard.
Yeah.
And it'll have it's a case from Miller Bradford.
Yeah.
And it'll have a snow blower on it. It's a 8-foot snow blower, 7-foot snow blower, and it'll have a 10-foot push box, and then the standard bucket that comes with the loader. And we went out and saw a demonstration on the snow blower, and it's not your standard snow blower. It's for hard packed snow. So it went up to Northern Gas up here. They had one on a skid steer, a smaller version, a 5-foot version. And it does a pretty good job of chewing through the hard pack along the edge of the road. Yeah, and it throw it probably 40, 50 feet. So, and it's all, you can direct it where you're putting it and all that. So this will be much improved over the John Deere that just has taken a beating and fallen
And what is that, where will that be used? On township properties?
Yeah, township properties. It'll be used to clean the township parking lots, and not exclusively, obviously. I mean, they were using the John Deere to clean a lot of this, but it's just too small of a piece of equipment, and you notice that our walking trails are not cleaned because the John Deere is just not capable of doing it. So that will resolve that issue.
Diesel?
Yep, it's a diesel, and the nice thing about the snow blower end of it is it's all hydraulic
Yeah.
driven.
Yeah.
So there's no shear pins, you can actually reverse it to clear any blockages. It's
Get those bicycles on there.
yeah, get the bikes out of there and stuff like that. So it's a pretty good piece of equipment. I think
Yeah.
we're gonna be happy with it. We actually spent twice as much as we had started out to spend.
Yeah.
We initially got a quote for a Kubota similar to what we, a little bigger than the John Deere we have now, and it was $35,000. And we went back out and took a look around for something that would work a little bit better for our needs and something that we could use when it wasn't winter. We can use it to supplement the backhoe that we've got. And it come back at $88,610, I think.
I like case equipment.
They're starting a new program with it when it gets here, is they're gonna have a training program. It's gonna be sponsored by Miller Bradford. They're gonna train some people on it. As far as the general maintenance and that, there's gonna be, the departments that use it will pay for it based on a Hobbs meter reading. And the dollar amount for that rental is set, and I think it was $30. Half of that will go for maintenance reserve and half of that will go for replacement reserves.
Okay, and that's just budgetary thing between departments?
Actually, they're gonna put together a new fund for it. It's gonna be an equipment fund. And that piece of equipment will be in there, and all the other departments will pay the bill from time to time based on their hours of use. And that's a test fund. See if it works out, we'll start moving other equipment in there.
Okay, Mr. Wiegand, we also have the road committee report. So we had
The
one
road committee
last
had their
night.
meeting last night, and all we did at that is we looked at we reviewed the RFP that was put out. That closes January 22nd at 2 o'clock. And that'll come back, the board will review that, the road committee will review that at their February meeting and presumably send it right on to the board with a recommendation that same night. So it's nice to be ahead of the game. We'll have the bids awarded, and there's still
We're a month ahead of last.
6 feet of snow on the ground.
Rec committee report. The January 17th rec committee was canceled. It was in a way to try to get rec committee members to go to the meeting the night before. We did get Connor Loftus
December
there.
17th.
I'm sorry?
The December 17th.
Did I say that? What did I say?
Yeah, I thought you said January 17th.
I might have. But it was December 17th was canceled. And again, it was because of getting people there the day before. Okay, also I've received just today some stuff from Ryan Dietrichson regarding Schwemmwood. I think he's working on some maps for the marquee.
Okay.
So I'll share that with the rec committee on the 21st. Okay, announcements.
Nothing.
Public comment. Mr. LaRue.
Pete's getting up to move the
Oh,
podium.
yeah, come on up.
Good night.
Wish us a Happy New Year or something.
Good meeting.
All right. Additional comments by planning commissioners. I used to have this. I'm meeting with Lynn and Jason tomorrow. I don't think there's anybody else involved in that meeting.
Maybe Randy.
Maybe Randy. Okay, at 2 p.m. We have 4 people that have been recommended, as I understand, from Ellen Sargent, recommended to Lynn. Lynn doesn't know these people. One is Kelly Holmstrom. She's an animal doctor, a vet. Another, I gotta remember him now. Another one is another doctor. There's a, yeah, you got it there? Yeah, that's quick. Kelly Holmstrom. They're all doctors of some type.
I think-
Heidi
Johnson, Chris Wilkinson, and Cynthia Wiggins.
and Cynthia, of course, is a dentist. Heidi Johnson is optometrist,
Yeah.
I believe. And I believe Chris Wilkinson is a dentist.
Yes, he is, as is Cynthia Wiggins.
Well, yeah, I mentioned that.
And these are potentials for the planning commission?
And my question was, has anybody asked them if they're interested? But we're gonna have this meeting tomorrow and figure that out. So if you have any,
I had the same look.
what was that?
I hope that they've been broached about it.
Well, that's what I asked Lynn.
She didn't know?
No, I don't think it's, I mean, the response that I got, it was like,
Typically, the way it goes is you advertise it, you get some applications, and then you go through the applications. So I don't know if these folks have asked or filled out applications.
you know, it should be where we advertise it, and it's not just one person recommending. I understand, you know, the supervisor has the ultimate recommendation.
She wants a kind of a particular niche person to be
Okay.
business rep or something.
I think it's nice that she's the planning commission, the chairman's gonna be involved in planning, and
Yeah.
it's nice they're gonna be involved in some of the recommendations, and realize it's her recommendation, but at least she's not making it in the dark.
Well, she said herself, she doesn't know any of these people. You saw that. She doesn't know. any.
Yeah, Wiggins has been on the Township Business Association.
Oh, she has.
Yeah,
And years ago.
she's really sharp.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and say that.
All right.
The other three I really don't know that well, other than bringing my dog to the animal medical center. That's never a positive thing for me because I have 3 dogs. So.
I know Heidi Johnson, she's pretty good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and I've talked to Chris Wilkinson a couple times too. He seems to be all right as well, but yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay. So that was my comment. Mr. Hakenen?
Yeah. So I've noticed with the roundabouts that we put in now, that you've got constant traffic flow. There's nothing to stop that traffic and then allow it to come out. When I tried coming out on 492 up there by the old, you know, whatever that place was, holy cow, can you sit there a long time?
Yeah,
There, yeah, and the access to Menards, what in the heck's going on there? I mean, is that, you will not be allowed to cross that anymore?
No,
No.
And you have to go to the roundabout and come back?
or to the Michigan left.
there's a Michigan
too
left
much.
before the roundabout.
Okay,
But I find it is easier to go down to the roundabout
Yeah.
where that traffic gets stacked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michigan left pretty good.
Exactly.
yeah, oh yeah, no, sometimes I've seen it stacked from the Best Buy roundabout to the Walmart roundabout.
Certain
So you can
times they are
imagine-
pretty tough.
So when, you can imagine when there's traffic coming, getting out of some of these drives is darn near impossible.
You'll figure it out.
There was some board discussion on it
I
last.
just give her, but yeah.
There was board
Get a bigger
discussion on it
truck, is
last
that
night
it?
about, apparently the problem is the eastbound traffic on 41 when it arrives at the Brickyard roundabout. There's a lot of minor accidents and even major accidents there because they're not slowing down in time.
Right. They're coming down the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been suggested, last night's meeting that we do some rumble strips or something there to,
Okay.
like they use, going on to Front Street over here.
Sure.
That,
Which is up to MDOT ultimately.
yeah,
Yeah.
which, but we need something to wake them up to the fact that there's something coming up there. But, and my comment last night was, is we just, it was very difficult when they opened them up because the same weekend they opened them up, we got 1.5 feet of snow.
Yeah, it couldn't have been a worse
So
scenario.
you never got to see all the markings on the pavement or any of that stuff. It just boom, they're open, figure it out on best you can. So I think it'll get a little smoother when the road actually clears off a little bit.
Okay.
Everything seems to be working okay except that eastbound traffic when it arrives in Brickyard.
Any other comments? With that, then we will adjourn the planning commission meeting at 8:19.
Call it 8:20. It's easy.
You can
Thanks,
do
guys.
that. You can do that as long as we don't have an audio.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right, yeah.
Could end up in court, though.
Let the court show the meeting actually ended at. One of the nicer site plans I've seen in a long time.
Oh, that's what I was saying, you did a nice job on that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I just didn't mean to make too much of a fuss out of that, but
No, it was just more, you guys picked apart the details, but more concerned with, okay, we need a bike path here, we need shared driveways, and we can't have you be in that clear area. And once
Yeah,
that was out
I
of the
just
way-
wanted to get some of that stuff that was contentious at Subaru, so that it was actually in the wording. So they can't do a Subaru where they go start building and then decide, oops, we need to do something else here. We can't.
So I'm curious about that force main. How does that work? Why is there a force main on top of the hill? It's not pushing it uphill.
Probably need to, yeah, get it there.
Where's it going? It's going past American, isn't it? I mean, where's that force main run? Are they pumping into just a regular sanitary and they just need that, because they got a 2-inch coming out of a grinder and a 6-inch going in.
We have whole force main systems that don't go into gravity feed at all.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, force main is the cheaper way to go.
Until something quits.
Well, yeah.
They also have the option to